Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our first virtual engineering open house. Today we are having environmental engineering student panel. My name is Luz Sandoval Manjarres. I'm an academic advisor with the School of Engineering. This is one of the events of a series of events to help welcome second year undergraduate students into the School of Engineering. During the first year, students see the Bobcat advisor in the Bobcat Advising Center. At the completion of their first year, then they transition into their declared major advisors. We hope that you can join us in our upcoming events this and next week. Just so you know, this event will be recorded and it will be posted on our engineering advising website if you need to go back to it. You will have time to ask questions through the Q&A, and then just feel free to put your questions there, okay? Today we have three student panelists. We have Miguel Gongora, Juliana Porras, and Fernando Roman. Thank you for joining us today. I will be facilitating this event, and we'll ask each of you some questions that have been prepared. And if we can start off with Fernando, can you tell us about yourself and when did you decide to come to UC Merced?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Fernando Roman. I'm an environmental engineering major here at UC Merced. This is my fourth and final year. I'm also part of a research team led by Assistant Professor Dr. Nadan at UC Merced. I chose UC Merced mostly since out of the colleges I got accepted to, it was the closest to my hometown, Monterey. I also was very attracted to the fact that UC Merced had a very high emphasis on student research, and I could see myself studying methods of giving potable water to developing communities here. I also was really excited to see the diverse student population here at UC Merced.
Thank you. Now we'll have Juliana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. And my name is Juliana Porras, and I'm entering my last academic year as an environmental engineering student here at UC Merced. The reason why I chose UC Merced was because I knew upon graduating from high school that I wanted to grow in my expertise, and I knew I wanted to expand my knowledge. And what better way than to come to Central California? And I knew that when I came here for Bobcat Day, it was just a great community, and I wanted to get involved and give back. So that is why I chose UC Merced.
Thank you. And now we can have Miguel.
Thank you for having me, everyone. My name is Miguel Gongora. So I decided to come to UC Merced because I believe it was towards the end of my junior year of high school. I was part of a program called Upward Bound, part of Volunteers of America, and all the upperclassmen were given the opportunity to visit a lot of the universities in California. And UC Merced, I believe, was our last university we were going to visit before heading back home. And when I got to UCM, I really enjoyed the environment and talking to the students that were there. They really gave me a good perspective and a good idea of what it means to be a Bobcat. And also, it was away from home, and I kind of was looking for a different pace of life. And I wanted to grow as an individual, and I think being away from home and being at the school at UCM really was going to provide that for me.
Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about your major and maybe some of the classes that you have taken?
As an environmental engineer, you're expected to help serve the public by designing systems that can help the environment and help populations. You have to know knowledge from many different fields and combine them with unique problem-solving mentalities. I also recommend for my major looking up the UC Merced Civil and Environmental Engineering Department, since lots of our professors have lots of really cool research that's very relevant to our modern world. For some of the classes I've taken, since I'm a fourth year, I'm finally out of the basic, chemistry, math, and I'd say my favorite class I've taken is Environmental Engineering 20, which is Introduction to Environmental Science and Technology. I took it with Dr. Nadan and I really enjoyed it. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to take it until my junior year, and I think it's kind of really late since for environmental engineering majors since there's a lot of prerequisites. But it's definitely worth the wait. And out of all the classes I've taken, I'd say I've taken some very difficult classes. I've taken fluid mechanics, science dynamics. The hardest class I've ever taken, probably in my life, was general chemistry 1 and general chemistry 2. So I think it's really important to know that we all have different strengths and to always be determined.
So a little bit about the major, piggybacking off of what Fernando said is, you have to know a lot of different subjects. So for me, it was the chemistry, the physics, the combination of like a certain biology. So like ESS is a aspect of biology that really drew me in, and I just like being an environmental engineering major, it's more than just math. I mean, it is math, but it's like math and science and a combination of all of that, which if you love, like you can see the application of that, and it's actually pretty interesting. And I think one of my favorite classes that I've ever taken, well, I really like the Chem 1 physics classes. Those are like the intro to get to, the upper divs. But when I got to upper divs, I did also like ENVE 20 a lot. I think the professor makes a big impact on whether you like the class or not. And the professor was great. So
So like the rest of the panel, I also did enjoy the chem and the physics, and yeah, environmental engineering is not so much emphasized on the math. It's more about the concepts and how do you apply them. But I think what I really enjoy about environmental engineering and the major itself is how noble it is, because we have the tools and the knowledge to apply that and help others, like wastewater treatment, providing water for those that need it, and for finding solutions for global warming and things like that. And I think the hardest class I think I've taken was statics and dynamics, which was engineering 57, because that was, I guess to many of us, is like the first actual engineering course we all take. And it's very intimidating. And, just hearing the professor and all the coursework was very intimidating, and knowing you had to do a bridge project at the end, that was a lot. But I think at the same time, it was my favorite class as well, because it made me better, and it refined my focus, and it made me study harder, which I applied all that to all my other courses.
Thank you for that. And you all mentioned that there were some courses that you had difficulty with, right? Can you share some tips on what did you do to be successful in these courses, or to at least pass these courses?
So I would always recommend for all your classes office hours. Office hours are like salvation. Specifically, me, I really struggle with chem, and the University of California, Merced, offers Chem Center, and that really helped me with labs and to better understand the concepts. But I would also really emphasize just practicing and studying and restudying and looking back at the lectures, looking back at your notes, and just even if you struggle in something, I always hear people say, "Oh, I'm bad at math, I'm bad at chemistry." I'm horrible at those, and I've gotten this far with an okay GPA. So anyone can do it. It just takes a lot of dedication. So especially if you're struggling in class, it's okay. We all have classes we struggle with, but keep trying, keep getting better, and try your best.
I do want to also include a little bit on the part where Fernando said that like anyone can do it, because I mean I feel like everyone comes from different backgrounds. We don't have the same education in high school or middle school, and so when we get to college, it's like sometimes we're comparing ourselves. But honestly, it's as long as you can commit to the work, as long as you can commit to yourself, and get what you need to get done in the end. As long as you graduate, you get that degree. But going off on how to be successful, I would say definitely office hours. Make those connections with your professors, and also like create peer like group study sessions that you will benefit from. If there's like a group that you want to get involved in, but you're not gonna learn from them, maybe you should kind of prioritize yourself, and surround yourself with individuals that have goals for themselves, that are willing to commit to the schoolwork and get the things they need to get done to graduate. So that would be my advice.
So similar to what Julia and Fernando said, office hours are I think key in success, because sometimes the professor they explain it one way in class, but then when you go to office hours, they explain it a whole different way, and it makes much more sense. Or it might confuse you, but at least you make that connection with them, and they can give you more resources, and they can kind of focus your studying. They might tell you, what, focus in one area more than this area, because that's going to be more relevant in the exam. Also, with your TAs, sometimes professors are really busy, and the office hours are very restrictive sometimes because they have a busy schedule. So sometimes TAs have much more relaxed schedules and kind of help you more, and sometimes they respond to emails much more quicker. The advice I would give is probably just make your own study session. Like, the way I study is I study hard Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays I kind of give myself a break to kind of just relieve and enjoy my Friday, not to worry about too much about school. So I have a strict study regimen from Monday to Thursday. I do all the work I got to get done, and on my laptop I use like the tools on my laptop, like the notepad, and I write down for every class the assignments that I have upcoming this week or next week, the due dates and the time that it's due. And also I found it very helpful, especially last year with the whole COVID situation. For the spring semester, it was really helpful to make like group chats. Like, we're all on social media nowadays, so we're connected much more easily. So I think, getting a group of friends and connecting online, whether it's Zoom, sharing screens with each other, or on Snapchat or Instagram, or just a text group chat, really goes a long way. So you guys can help one another out.
Thank you. And may I ask, do any of you have a minor?
I actually do have a minor.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that do have a minor, why did you choose to declare a minor, and how did you make it fit in your schedule?
So I decided to pursue a minor in applied mathematics. So a lot of people that know me, they still to this day say, why math minor, why math? Like, you do enough math engineering. And I don't know, ever since I could remember, even in middle school and high school, I always liked math, especially when it's like a really hard problem, because when you get to solve that problem, you just get this sensation of like achievement. Like, you feel so good about yourself. You solved a really hard problem, and the much more deeper you get into math, the type of math you see is the type of math that no one ever really sees unless they're math majors. So I don't know, I kind of like it, but I decided to do it mostly because I enjoyed it, and in my head, I thought they would prepare me in case I needed to do any advanced calculations in my engineering courses. And I think I declared it maybe I want to say my third year. But I was fortunate enough that within the engineering major, environmental engineering major, we already take so many math classes. We take all the calculus, Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3. We take the differential and linear analysis class, and we're required to take the stats class. So I basically would have already had all the requirements, all the prerequisites to continue in the math minor. And I believe I've only taken another like 5 extra math classes, 5 extra math classes than what I would have taken if I didn't select a math minor. But it really has given me new skills. Like, I've taken a numerical analysis class, and I use coding that I end up using in my research. So it ends up paying off. And also just because I can better help others that struggle in math. So like, I tutor my sisters, or I help friends that are taking math classes.
Thank you. And I know that you all already share a little bit about some tips on how to do well in some of the classes you're struggling, but just overall, what could be some good academic behaviors to be successful in engineering lower division courses, like let's say environmental engineering 20, or some of the lower division math?
So I guess the most important thing, always go to class. You are paying for it. Go to class. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you're ever stuck on something. Especially since we all come from different backgrounds and we all different specialties. Always do your homework. And I think the biggest piece of advice, like when my freshman and sophomore year at UC Merced, I kind of didn't take very sophisticated notes in any of my classes. You know, they're kind of illegible since I have kind of ugly handwriting, and I didn't really pay attention. And even though I did assignments, I'd usually procrastinate and do it, 4 a.m. when it's due at 7 a.m. And I still had okay grades, but my circadian rhythm was really bad. However, now I'm getting kind of old. I'm 21. Days are behind me, and as soon as I get an assignment, I'll do it right away, so I know if I have any questions. And I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'll really focus in class, so I don't have to study as hard as crammed prior to a lecture. So have good habits, understand how you best study, how you best learn, and really always try to search for motivation. Understand why you're doing this, so you can always be determined and keep a good work ethic.
Yeah, so basically what I would say is that don't be afraid to ask questions in lecture or in office hours, and don't be afraid to get the answer wrong, or in a sense, don't be afraid to fail. Sometimes you have to fall down to learn. Like when you're a baby, you have to fall down to learn to walk. So I think just knowing that, just not being afraid to get the answer wrong, and just keep pursuing what you love. And I think in the end, like whatever you're meant to be will pass. And yeah, just believe in yourself first and foremost. That's what I've learned over the years. So I hope that you can learn that.
Similar to what they've already discussed, like don't be afraid to ask questions. I used to always be afraid to ask questions because I was always used to like being right the first time. And I learned that the hard way through like some courses. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions, because odds are everybody else in the class also has the same exact question. They're just too afraid to ask. And if you ask questions, and that, it shows what you do and what you don't know. So that way you don't have to go back and study the entire chapter, let's say. You just have to study like the last couple of pages. Also, like just focus on how you study, how you learn. I've had friends who try to mimic what I do. I've tried to mimic what they do to study, and it just doesn't work. Just focus on how you study better, what makes more sense to you. Like to study for math, I have to do the problems over and over and over. But I mean, people who just watch the lecture videos or just look at the lecture notes, do it one time, get the gist of it, and then they're golden. But I have to keep, I have to do repetition. I also think a good study habit is to give yourself a break. Don't overstudy, don't study too much. Kind of pace yourself, and that's why I always like to study. If you have an exam, I like to start studying 2 weeks ahead of time, because then that way you're not cramming. And it's happening. I'm pretty sure every one of us has gone through at least once, where we have multiple exams in the same week. And so you don't want to study for calculus, week 1, and then still study for in week 2, but then you have a chem exam. Then you start mixing the different the materials, and then you just overwhelm yourself. Try to schedule yourself appropriately, and and use your friends. Everybody, like we all come from different backgrounds, so some of us are better at one thing than the other. So, I think at UCM it's all about helping each other.
Thank you for your great advice. What are some challenges that you have faced as a student?
So for me, I guess one of the most difficult ones is feeling motivated in the classes that you don't enjoy, especially a lot of the prerequisite classes. Yeah, but again, you have to just envision yourself succeeding, and sometimes it can be really stressful. Also, planning ahead in your future while also taking classes. Like, am I taking the right classes? Will I graduate on time? But again, you'll have a lot of sources to rely on, like your professors, peers, and I'd like to give a shout out to my academic advisor, who's actually here right now, Paveng. She really, she's why I'm graduating on time. She's amazing. But like going back to the question, feeling motivated. So always push yourself. You always push yourself, and always be willing to fail, and always be willing to learn more. And especially for environmental engineering, our work really helps people. So you gotta be the change that you want to see.
Oh, that was a good response. I don't know what to say now. No, I think my biggest challenge definitely was learning how to set a schedule for myself, like throughout the week. I think telling myself, oh, I can do so many things, and then at the end of the day, not being able to study, or um, like just like being able to study effectively and putting the right time in the right courses and not like burn yourself out. So learning to overcome that, and as well as just learning the concepts in classes. My background is a little different. I didn't really have a lot of opportunities at my high school, so I felt like coming into college I was behind, and I had to take all these prereqs, and like writing one, and math 5, and I looked down on myself, and like I pretty much like was angry at myself for not knowing this, but at the same time it's like this was my situation, and I had to get over it, and just keep pursuing and my goals. And yeah, so that would be mine.
So I think one of the biggest challenges I had to face was balancing my academic life and my work life. Um, so I was working. Well, I guess technically I'm still working for the catering services at UCN, and because of my crazy schedule as an engineering student, we have classes at random time. Sometimes they're all back-to-back discussions and labs, not only just lectures. Um, but it was difficult to balance. Like, should I risk staying up late to study for an exam or to finish an assignment, and risk not waking up for work, or vice versa? Should I just focus on making sure I do a good job at work, but then again sacrifice my academics? Like, maybe, oh, I won't do one assignment because I have work tomorrow morning, so I just won't do that assignment. I'll make it up. So that was a difficult thing, but thankfully I was able to learn and improve and handle it. And I think another challenge also probably is just there's never enough time. It always feels like we don't have enough time on our hands. So having a good schedule and also prioritizing things. If you know you're struggling more in one class than the other, um, maybe you should prioritize another hour or two more on that class than the other one, and just use your resources. When I looked at the degree path, I didn't know exactly what it was. It overwhelmed me. But shout out to Christina Mayo. She helped me out a lot, especially when I added my math minor. That changed the dynamics of what I had to do, and I had to sprinkle in another math course here and there, but making sure that I was able to get the classes I needed for environmental engineering, especially since in our major we have like fall only classes and spring only. So she wanted to make sure I didn't miss those key courses.
Thank you for the shout out. And Fernando, you talked about staying motivated, right? Um, and this question goes for everyone. What has helped you stay motivated and continue your education?
Well, I think this goes back to my origin story. So both my parents are Salvadorian, and when I was a kid, I would constantly visit El Salvador and also Central America, nearby places like Honduras, Nicaragua. And I saw a lot of people there that didn't have access to clean water, and they would just rely on, very dirty water, and they didn't have the best sanitation systems. And in fact, many places, around the world still don't have access to clean water, or the water is infected with parasites and pathogens. So whenever I'm feeling really stressed, I understand that my work can really help people. And sometimes I'll look back at those pictures and videos from my childhood and get really motivated. I also I really want to succeed, since I'm not very special. Like, I'm not very talented or gifted. Um, I'm not like a genius. I'm just a very average person in terms of, maybe math or chemistry. So if I can do it, I really think anyone can do it with enough determination, and that's what motivates me. I want to hopefully inspire people that may be struggling with any classes.
I think one of the things that makes me motivated to keep going is that I'm the first STEM major in my family, female, Hispanic, and I'm I just I just know that I'm paving a way for myself and for my family, and so that is kind of my motivation to keep pursuing my dreams. But I'm also very passionate about environmental engineering and specifically air quality. I want to study more about it so I can help fix these problems, come up with solutions. I'm also doing research. My PI, Dr. Colleen Naughton, she's been so like helpful in showing me like what my interests are just by believing in me and showing me, hey, whatever you are interested in, whatever goals you have, like I'm gonna like in a way help you identify that. And I guess just having um, someone that believes in me, and also just being able to give back to my community.
I think one of the things that has kept me motivated all this time at UCM is um, looking back at where I grew up and just like the friends I've made back at home, and seeing how their life has turned out, that we've all taken different paths. And I'm remembering that when I was in middle school and high school, I used to dream of, being in STEM and being somebody, having my name known all around the world for something I contributed to science and technology. And they would always say, well, you don't come from a family or from an area that people are most likely to do that. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder to prove them wrong. And so every day I knew that even though it's tough, many, many, many people have done it, and I can do it too, despite anything else I've had to face. Another thing that's kept me motivated is my family, for sure. I'm only the second one in my family to pursue a degree in STEM. I was the first until my cousin, I guess, we had a lot of deep conversations, and he decided to go into STEM, and he just graduated into civil engineering. So that's kept me motivated because I've seen how far he's gone and how much he's grown in such a short period of time. Just seeing how hard he works makes me want to work more, and also to make my parents proud, since I am the only one from my siblings to go. And then I guess that's paid off dividends because the oldest of my sisters has actually started her first year here at UCM. So it's just seeing that all the work and that I've put in to show them to be a good role model has paid off. Then that just keeps motivating to strive for more.
You are all amazing, great, and smart, okay? And we are very proud of you all for coming this far and for sharing all of your knowledge. So my next question is, can you talk about any internships, research, organizations that you have been involved in, and how did you get involved in these activities?
So I've been doing research this fall semester, and over the summer led by Dr. Naughton here at UC Merced. It's research looking at wastewater treatment plants in the Bay Area and also in California, trying to see if nearby communities are at risk for being near wastewater treatment plants. And prior to this summer, I had no idea how to do research at UC Merced. And it was so simple. All I had to do was ask a teacher how to do research. And she was amazing. She offered me a position. And then I also asked Pavang. She just said, just sign up with this. So all I did was ask. There's always sources. And I'm really thankful I've done research. Without that research, I wouldn't have had experience with GIS. I wouldn't have even known what GIS was. I wouldn't be taking a GIS class right now. So I'd recommend doing at least something. If you can't do internships, if you can't do maybe like fraternities or sororities for engineering, do research. UC Merced has a very large emphasis on research, and I highly recommend it.
For me, I would say getting involved in community, if you haven't already guessed, is something that I value, as I keep leading all of my previous comments back to just community involvement. I've heard once someone said like networking is your best friend, and I totally am for that. There's so many opportunities that I've had just networking on campus, and I have been in a clubs since my freshman year, super faithfully going to these clubs, and then I also started one last academic year, it called Natural Resources and Ecology Association. So if you guys want to check it out. And so what we do is we provide like career development for students like that are interested in natural resource related projects or environmental or ecological. And so so that's something that I've also been doing. I also do research with Dr. Colleen Naughton, and I've been able to research this past summer in UROC. If you guys don't know what that is, it's the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Center here at UC Merced. I would encourage you guys to get involved with that program. It's super helpful, gives you tips on grad school, gives you tips on just preparing for your future when you graduate from UC Merced. And another thing is, yeah, just being super out there on campus, and I think that's a huge thing for me. And yeah.
So back in my second year, I was going through imposter syndrome. So I basically kind of felt like I didn't belong in engineering, and I wasn't sure if this was the right choice for me. And I had gone to a workshop. I think it was, I believe it was to learn MATLAB, just like a workshop that IU was hosting, which is an Ingenieros Unidos. And I met, by chance, I was just chit-chatting with some guy, and he ended up being the president at the time of the club. And he kind of became a mentor of mine, and he took me under his wing, and he taught me all about professionalism and networking. And he said the same thing: networking is like the golden ticket sometimes. Like sometimes just talking to the right person for like just 5 minutes could lead to a research opportunity, to an internship, or to a full-time position. So through IU, I learned a lot about like UROC and the different research that was going on. Because like many of us, I didn't know how to get involved in research. I thought it was just something like upperclassmen did, based on merit. So I had taken NV 160 with Professor Fortier, and at the end of the class, she was offering research positions, and so I took advantage because I didn't have any luck with other internships that I was applying for, and so I talked with her, and I've been a part of her research group for the last year or so. So I'm still doing research. I started with her last summer, 2019, and she decided to keep me on as a researcher up until this point, and I'm hoping to continue up until next semester before I graduate. And then I also got the unique opportunity to intern this summer in Utah with Northrop Grumman. Like IU taught me a lot about conferences, and they opened the world of networking. So I went to the GMIS conference, which originally was called HENAC, and it was hosted in Orlando. And out there, I did a lot of networking, and I just showcased my skills and abilities and what I've learned and represented UCM with other students. And I was fortunate enough to get an internship with Northrop Grumman this past summer. But yeah, just asking. I asked a lot of people within IU, like, hey, like, how do you get into research? Oh, okay, here, let me send you the link, or give me your email, and I'll send you. Or they would tell me, what research you want to do. Oh, okay, I know a professor who does it. I'll shoot you a text if they respond back. So it's just asking. It never hurts to ask, and also just Googling stuff. You can Google research at UC Merced or research professors, and then at their website you'll see what they're involved in, and you can always shoot them an email.
Great, thank you. What tips would you give students that might want to reach out to the professors, right? And they don't feel comfortable, or they might feel a little intimidated to talk to them. If you've done it, what did you do to actually, break that and actually talk to your professors?
Yeah, so I always felt awkward talking to professors about opportunities since I'm very quiet, and I'm like, a lot of people that don't know me. So I recommend being very courteous, really putting a lot of effort in any emails you sent, or depending on whether or not it's SARS-CoV-2 era or not, going to the office hours, maybe virtual ones. Try to find someone you're comfortable with, and someone who has, I guess, a reasonable amount of time. Make sure it's not, like during a very hectic time, maybe like finals week. So find someone you trust. You can even have someone close to you review your email, make sure it's professional and courteous, but also try to be precise and tell them exactly what you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah, so I haven't actually written a professor anything. It was mainly just opportunities that I've taken from classes, like going to office hours, getting to know the professor, and then from there, um, I just asked my professor if I could do research under her, that I really wanted to learn from her, and that she looked like a good mentor to have. So I would recommend that, just like um, making sure that you want this person or this professor to be your mentor, that you actually like what he or she is doing in the field of their research. And I would just be confident. I know it's hard because like as an undergrad, it's like I haven't accomplished anything. I'm barely like passing all my classes. I don't know your situation, but first and foremost, as long as you're willing to learn and you show them that, then of course they're gonna want you, or they're gonna want to help you at least. Maybe they will say no, but at least they can lead you to, someone that may be needing help. And so my recommendation would be to just be open and make sure that you're open to learning, and that the person you want to learn from is someone that you really admire and want to be like.
I think so. Like, I'm a very social person. I love talking to people. So yeah, I would go to office hours, just chat with them, not only about school and like the material and homework, but I'll just talk to them, get to know them. What I found that I learned through IU is that if you do your research under professors, so if you specifically want to do research under a specific professor, um, go look at their research, see what they've done, what's been published, get to know what they're into, because a lot of times when I would talk to them and ask them like, oh hey, like I read an article where you did this, or what do you think about this, and it was right up their alley. Like we were buddies. They were talking to me like we were just friends. We forgot that it was a student teacher. We were just buddies, just talking about their work, and that shows to them that you're serious about doing research with them. So that shows that that shows that you're going to be dedicated to them, and they might most likely maybe offer something. And even if they don't offer it, I've had times where they say, oh, I don't have a position open, or I'm not really looking for anyone else right now. But they do offer, I heard so and so is looking for a student, or they say, you know what, take this course and then come back to me, because they want you to know some material before you even do the research. And in terms of sending an email, when I send emails, I just usually it's very, very basic, very calm, relaxed. You don't have to try to use big, crazy words. A lot of professors are just normal people, you know. Yeah, just to stay calm. Don't sweat it. Don't try too hard. Just send an email and just say what you want to say. Don't go off on a narrative and then not say what you mean.
Thank you. And I think Juliana and Miguel, you talked about mentors. If you all have mentors, how did you find this mentors, or how did they become your mentors?
I can talk first. I think I'm probably going to steal Juliana's mentor, because my mentor is Colleen Ouden here at University of California, Merced. And I found out about her since I had a class with her, ENVE 20, Introduction to Environmental Engineering, something like that. And I really love that class. So I spent so much time just really studying that class. It was bliss, really. And I developed a pretty good relationship with her since I came to office hours. She also knew I was very interested in water engineering, so she would send me webinars, and I developed a really close relationship with her basically through her class. But even after it ended, I still sent emails, and yeah, luckily she offered me a research position. And
My story is a little different. Yeah, we do have the same mentor. We're in the same lab. Um, anyway, so my how I came to know about my mentor, basically I had gone to my Jumpstart my third year, So my meeting with shout out to Fun Colvin, yes. Um, and basically she was telling me like, or advising, maybe look into getting like research opportunity, or like, prepare myself for when I go into the quote unquote real world. Um, and so I went back and I did my research, and I found Colleen Naughton, or sorry, Dr. Colleen Naughton, and I was very impressed by like her work, and I was like, I want to work for her. But of course, I didn't know where to begin, and I was super nervous, and so I kind of just pushed it to the side and was like thinking in my head like, once I'm something, or once I get ahead in my courses, I will email her, or I'll take that opportunity. Basically, the next semester I ended up having her as a professor, which is really cool. Because when she walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the professor I want to work with. Um, anyway, so I ended up just like forming a relationship with her, just like going office hours, asking questions about the course, and then also just like about her research. And finally, like towards the end of the semester, I shot my I shot my shot. That makes sense. And I asked to do research with her, and she was like, what are your interests? And then boom, now 2 years later, like I'm still working for her, and I'm very excited, and I'm still excited about what I'm doing. It's an exciting place, and she's just a great mentor. She always challenges me, and I love it because I love challenges.
So like I mentioned, I had met like the IU president like 2 3 years back, and he became like, I guess, my unofficial mentor. We kind of shared a similar backstory, and he knew what I was going through. He'd been there, and I looked up to him just because he was a very caring person, and he always wanted to help anyone he can. He didn't care how you looked or what you were studying. He would always want to help someone. So we would just hang out a lot, and I would always ask him like advice, like, hey, I want to apply for this internship or this research opportunity, but my resume is not that good. And in IU, they had workshops, but what he took it to another level. He would make it a one-on-one. He would tell me, I only have time in the morning, so we can meet in the library, and we would work on my resume, and he would kind of work on my elevator speech, and we would do mock interviews together. So he just helped me out a lot, and even until now, he's already had a year since he graduated from UCM, and we still talk here and there. Um, he'll still give me advice, and he'll even ask me for advice sometimes, which is weird because he's older than me and he's gone through more, so it was weird. Um, and then my other mentor, which is Professor Fortier, I had her for a course, and I didn't always go to office hours because her office hours were when I had work, so unfortunately I couldn't go as much. But I did try to communicate with her as much as I could in class, and even like 5 minutes after class, talk to her. And during that summer that we spent research, that's when I really got to know her, and she really got to know me as a person, and my interests. And so she's become a mentor to me. She's given me advice on grad school. I've expressed my interest in grad school, and she's kind of paved the way and kind of have told me what I need to do. And she says that if I need a letter of recommendation, she can offer that to me. And I have another mentor, and he was my high school math teacher, and he's kind of the one that kind of like sort of pushed me to get my math minor in a way. And so I just have him as a mentor just because he's known me since high school. So it's great for him to see me how far I've come. And but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important to share, right? That mentors don't have to be your professors either, right? That they can be upper division students or someone that might have, even your peers can become your mentors as well. And hopefully you can all become mentors of some lower division student that you find that might need some guidance. Okay, we would love to know what are your plans, your career plans after graduation? If you have any, right? I'm sure some of you are still working on them.
So currently I'm researching master's or PhD programs at different universities. And that's a whole story. That's a whole process. So I guess I'm going to try to apply to different PhD programs, but I'm also going to try to apply to different jobs in the industry. And once I graduate, I guess see my options and where I go from there.
Yeah, graduation is right around the corner for me, so I'm definitely looking into grad schools. I want to pursue a PhD in civil and environmental engineering. Unfortunately, when I was a freshman or incoming freshman at UC Merced, they didn't have civil. It was only environmental engineering, but I think I've, yeah, so basically, I want to pursue a PhD and be able to be knowledgeable about air quality.
So just like Juliana, I wanted to be a civil engineer, and I still do. You know, I've talked to my cousin a lot because he's doing civil engineering now. So I've asked him a lot, like, what do you guys do? You know, do you like it? What's like the courses you take and stuff? Um, and then talking with Professor Fortier, you know, she's talked about grad school quite a bit. You know, she not only wants us to succeed in academics now and in the research, but she also wants to see us all succeed after. You know, she has a strong contact with her past students from her other university. So she's really has given me some recommendations for grad school. And if I plan on going for my master's, I don't know about PhD yet. I don't know. You know, I do like the sound of, you know, having the doctor in front of my name. That sounds really cool. But I don't know. I don't know. I know the workload is pretty hectic, and but I do want to go to grad school for civil engineering and anything that to do with hydrology, wastewater treatment. Um, but also, I've been given the unique opportunity and really cool chance that a week before I finished my internship with Northrop Grumman this past summer, they offered me the full-time position as an environmental engineer in Utah starting, I believe, next August, if they don't need me to be there earlier. So I'm really happy and excited about the opportunity. Um, but I know sky's the limit, so I'm still looking for other opportunities. And I'm grateful for Northrop Grumman for offering that and for my mentors that I've already made at Northrop Grumman. But I do have that in my back pocket. Um, in case I don't see anything else that catches my attention, I do have that offer from Northrop. But I still do plan on going to grad school even if I work. I've talked with a lot of professionals that say they do full-time work and part-time school, and you're still able to do it. So that is something definitely that I have set in mind. And also, I'm still looking for positions here in California. Although I did enjoy my time in Utah, it's beautiful out there. You know, I'm always been a a Cali person. Always lived in the same area, so I would love to stay here and work here. But I do have that unique opportunity.
Congrats. And you all mentioned grad school, right? Why are you all trying to pursue graduate school?
Well, I think it would be really cool to be an expert in something. You know, undergrad does prepare you. I've heard this expression: undergrad prepares you to be an engineer, but graduate school prepares you to be a good engineer. So it'd be really cool to uh, go to a program where I can really specialize in my favorite thing ever: water, H2O. I love it. Oh yeah, Dr. Roman, as as was mentioned. The title is pretty cool, but really it's just being able to specialize in something you really care about, and you have a lot of opportunities too if you uh, pursue your master's and PhD. You could always go into the field of academia or continue doing research, which I think would be really cool for me personally, since I could research purification methods in water, or filtration methods, or more into wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah, specializing in the field is probably one reason why I want to get a PhD, but also like I when I was looking for like jobs or kind of like this is way back when I was still deciding what I wanted to do, and I was like looking into jobs and like careers and being an air quality engineer, you have to have like a master's. And so for me, I was like, well, I already know, I want to go back to school, but then it was also that, do I want to just settle or do I want to just get my master's or do I want to go for a PhD? And I think because I mentioned that I'm like the first woman in STEM in my family, I just want to set the standard and show other like my cousins and my sisters that like, you know, it is attainable. Like you can get a PhD with enough time and belief in yourself. So I think that's mainly why that's what kind of is my drive.
For me, it's a mix of a couple things. I think it's a lot about family and making my family proud, and they expect a lot from me just because I've gotten this far. And they always tell me, you've had a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities that we didn't have back then, and we want you to do as much as you want and as much as I can. So it's a part of it is also that, and also to show my sisters, that anyone can do it. That if I can do it, they can do it, and if I've done it already, I'm always going to be there to help them and guide them. Another part also is, the more degrees you have, the more doors that open up for you. When I was interning at Northrop Grumman, there's a lot of engineers that were going to school, and I would ask them, like, why are you going to school? You have a good job, you look like you're happy, comfortable. And they always told me, well, there's so many positions out there and other, with other companies and with other industries, that are looking for experts in a specific field. And so that's a unique opportunity. So I think also being an expert in something, and also because I still want to do civil engineering, and I've always wanted to kind of bridge civil engineering and environmental engineering. And I think going for my master's would really do that for me.
Thank you, and thank you for choosing a major to help improve our world. Right? Last question, since we don't have any more Q&A. What general advice would you give to students starting their second year?
Learn from your first year. It's my biggest advice. And never give up. You have to be okay with failure, but it's not an excuse to not try. Always try your best. And if you try your best, you can always try again. Also, talk to your academic advisor. They're really helpful.
I would say talk to your academic advisor too. That really helped me transition from my first to my second year. I mean, once you pass your first year of college, you're like, oh, I can do this. But then second year, it's like, okay, this is where I'm locking in. For me personally, it's like this is where I'm locking in for what I want to do for the rest of my life, kind of thing. Like, this is my major, so I have to figure out what I want to do. And when you go to your academic advisor, she can lead you to the opportunities that they have on campus that will help you grow as an individual and as a scholar. So I would say just keep believing in yourself. You have like your entire life ahead of you. Just don't stop the grind. Because once you stop, you gotta keep going.
I would say probably, yeah, for sure, don't be afraid of failure. I was afraid of failure for a long time, and I had to learn the hard way. But don't be afraid of failure. Everybody fails once in a while, here and there. But that doesn't mean you just quit and then there. You got to keep trying. And there was an upperclassman my first year that I had met at the dining center. And he told me the one thing that he would recommend, that he told me, he's like, just know the fact that you're going into something that's not the easiest. The reason why engineering is so prestigious is because of all the hard work you have to put in. So just knowing the fact that it's not going to be an easy road, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. There's so many people that have done it, that are doing it now and have already done it. And there's so many resources out there. Talk to advisors. I remember talking to Christina, like, oh, I'm struggling in my academics. I don't want to fail, but I don't want to drop the course either. I want to keep going. And she said, well, there's tutoring resources on campus. Take advantage of them. Go to office hours and things like that. But yeah, just always believe in yourself. You've done the first year of college. Congratulations. Now you have your second year. I would say just keep going. Make sure you do your best in all your classes. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid of failure. And also have a tight group of friends who you can express your distress. All the times just talking to someone, just saying, I'm like, oh, how much I hate this class or how hard is this? Like, it just makes you feel better. Like, either there's so much weight lifted off your shoulders. But yeah, just keep believing in yourself. You can do it. We're doing it. We're almost done. So anyone can really do it.
Thank you again so much for all the great advice. We know that you're going to be doing great things. And you already are doing great things. So we thank you for that. So this concludes our event for today. Thank you. We wish you all the best. And you're almost done, okay? So have a great day, everyone.